Welcome back to USA Legend Archive, where we keep the stories of our favorite stars alive. Today, we're reflecting on the lives and achievements of the remarkable figures we've recently lost, those who brought so much joy and inspiration to the world. If you find comfort in these tributes, please show your support by liking this video. Your engagement helps us keep their memory shining bright. Thank you for joining us today, and let's get started. Alan Osmond, born on June 22, 1949, in Ogden, Utah, was the steady force behind one of the most beloved family groups in pop history. As the eldest member and guiding leader of the Osmonds, he helped transform a group of brothers performing to support their family into a global phenomenon. During the early 1970s, the group reached extraordinary heights, with One Bad Apple topping the United States charts and songs like Down by the Lazy River and Crazy Horses becoming defining hits. Over more than 60 appearances on national television, their presence became a familiar part of everyday life for millions. Yet Alan's journey was not defined by success alone. The family endured a devastating financial collapse near the end of the decade, losing nearly $100 million. Rather than walk away, he led them back onto the stage, determined to rebuild with dignity. In 1987, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a challenge he carried for decades. Even as his strength declined, his commitment never did. And in later years, he found the courage to stand alongside his brothers one final time, a moment that quietly captured his enduring spirit. His brother Donnie once said, "Alan was our leader in every sense of the word," a truth reflected across a lifetime of devotion. Alan Osmond passed away on April 20th, 2026, at the age of 76, at his home in Utah. The exact cause was not publicly disclosed. He leaves behind not only music, but a legacy of leadership, resilience, and unwavering love for family. Michael Tilson Thomas did not just conduct orchestras. He reimagined what an orchestra could mean to the world beyond the concert hall. Born on December 21, 1944 in Los Angeles, he grew into one of the most influential musical voices of his time. Over 25 years, as music director of the San Francisco Symphony, he transformed it into a global powerhouse, earning 12 Grammy Awards and receiving the Kennedy Center Honors in 2019. His work extended far beyond performance, with more than 120 recordings and the visionary Keeping Score project, which brought classical music into homes and classrooms, opening its doors to millions. His path was shaped as much by uncertainty as by success. In earlier years, without a permanent position, he built his career through relentless dedication across stages in the United States and Europe. Rather than follow convention, he championed modern voices and American composers, redefining what audiences could expect. In 1987, he co-founded the New World Symphony, creating a lasting bridge for young musicians entering the profession. In 2021, he was diagnosed with glioblastoma, an aggressive brain cancer. Even as his strength declined, he continued to share music, conducting and connecting with audiences until his final appearances. Michael Tilson Thomas passed away on April 22, 2026, at the age of 81. His legacy is not only heard in music, but felt in every mind he opened and every life he inspired. Breaking news. Some voices do not simply sing. They become shelter for the broken places inside humanity. Johnny Mathis was never merely a performer standing beneath stage lights. He was the trembling hush after heartbreak, the velvet ache between memory and longing. The man whose tenderness seemed to gather the shattered pieces of loneliness and hold them gently enough that they did not bleed. For decades, his songs did more than fill concert halls. They slipped quietly into hospital rooms, empty apartments, first dances, funerals, and sleepless nights, becoming the sacred thread woven through millions of private sorrows. But behind that miraculous softness lived a life shaped not by ease, but by hunger, fear, sacrifice, silence, and storms so profound they might have erased a lesser soul. And now, as age and memory slowly dim the stage lights of one of America's most beloved romantics, the story becomes even more heartbreaking, because we are not simply watching a legend grow older. We are witnessing the fading twilight of a voice that once taught the world how to survive its pain beautifully. Johnny Mathis was born on September 30th, 1935, in Gilmer, Texas, into a world that offered little comfort and even less certainty. He was the fourth of 7 children born to Clem and Mildred Mathis, a family rich in love but burdened by poverty so relentless it shaped every waking hour. Their home was crowded not only with children, but with sacrifice. His father worked tirelessly in whatever jobs he could find, his hands roughened by labor, his dreams often postponed so his children might have a chance to dream at all. His mother stretched meals, stitched worn clothes, and carried the invisible weight so many mothers bear, the desperate art of making hardship feel survivable. There were no guarantees in the Mathis household, only endurance. Hunger was not poetry there. It was real. Bills did not wait for miracles. When survival demanded it, the family left Texas for San Francisco, chasing not fortune, but possibility. Yet poverty followed them west, like a shadow unwilling to loosen its grip. Their new life was still marked by cramped rooms, uncertainty, and the aching mathematics of too many needs and too little money. But somewhere inside that struggle, something extraordinary happened. Clem Mathis, exhausted yet determined, brought home an old upright piano. It was battered, imperfect, and worn down by another life before theirs. But for young Johnny, it may as well have been heaven itself. Those chipped keys became his first sanctuary. In a world where so much felt unstable, music offered him something precious: control, beauty, escape, and perhaps most importantly, identity. His father did more than give him an instrument. He handed him a future no one else could yet hear. As a boy, Johnny was not loud. He was not the child who demanded the room. He was quiet, observant, almost fragile in the eyes of others. Yet beneath that softness lived astonishing discipline. At George Washington High School in San Francisco, he excelled not only in music, but in athletics. His extraordinary ability in high jump made him a serious Olympic prospect. For a moment, his life stood divided between two breathtaking possibilities. He could rise through speed and strength, or through song. One path required physical flight. The other demanded emotional surrender. Coaches saw a champion. But somewhere deeper, Johnny understood that music was not merely talent, it was survival. He would later choose melody over medals, not because the easier road called him, but because the truest one did. His early years in San Francisco's nightclub scene were far from glamorous. Beneath smoke-filled ceilings and distracted crowds, Johnny sang not as a star, but as a young man trying desperately to be heard in a world too busy surviving to notice softness. Some nights applause came. Other nights, indifference echoed louder. There were evenings when exhaustion felt heavier than hope, when dinner was uncertain, when his body ached from balancing education, athletics, and music, while carrying the quiet burden of family expectation. Yet even then, something in his voice refused to harden. He did not sing with force, he sang with feeling. Helen Noga, one of the first to truly recognize the rare emotional gravity in his sound, became instrumental in changing his life. She heard not just skill, but transcendence. When Columbia Records brought Johnny to New York, he arrived carrying ambition, fear, and the invisible scars of every sacrifice that had brought him there. But New York was not immediately kind. Success did not burst open overnight. The city was crowded with louder personalities, bigger ambitions, and sharper edges. Some believed his voice was too gentle, too polished, too delicate for an America increasingly drawn to spectacle. But then came 1957, and with it, destiny. Chances Are did not simply top charts. It transformed Johnny Mathis into something rarer than fame: emotional permanence. Suddenly, his voice belonged to candlelit living rooms, heartbreak radio stations, wedding dances, and solitary souls who needed to believe tenderness still existed. Wonderful, wonderful. The 12th of Never, Misty, and It's Not For Me to Say followed, each one deepening his place not just in music history, but in the emotional architecture of American life. Yet fame, as Johnny would learn, can be both sanctuary and prison. While the world swooned over romance, he often lived beneath crushing pressure. Endless tours, relentless recording sessions, public expectation, and the brutal demand for perfection carved invisible wounds. He became a symbol of love while privately confronting loneliness that applause could not cure. He sang for millions, yet often carried his deepest truths in silence. As a black artist navigating an industry and era marked by racial prejudice, image control, and private vulnerability, his journey demanded caution beyond imagination. He lived in a time when tenderness itself could be misunderstood, when personal truth could threaten professional survival. Then came cultural change. The rebellious roar of rock and roll, the British invasion, and shifting tastes threatened to eclipse the elegant emotionality that had made him iconic. For many artists, such transitions become extinction. For Johnny, they became another test of endurance. He adapted, endured, and continued, not by abandoning who he was, but by preserving it. While trends exploded and faded, Johnny Mathis remained what he had always been, a guardian of vulnerability in a noisy world. But no life, however graceful, escapes private battles. Behind polished performances were seasons of exhaustion, dependency struggles, and emotional weariness that nearly dimmed his inner light. Like so many who spend years carrying others emotionally, he too faced moments when the weight became almost unbearable. Yet true to the pattern of his life, Johnny did not surrender. He fought for discipline, for healing, for clarity. He chose survival again and again. Then, in 2015, tragedy arrived in flames. The Los Angeles home he had cherished for decades, not merely a house, but a living archive of memory, music, photographs, awards, and personal history, was devastated by fire. For many, such destruction would feel like erasure. For Johnny, it became another chapter in a life already defined by rebuilding. Imagine the heartbreak. A man whose songs preserved memories for generations standing before ashes of his own. Yet even then, he did what he had done since childhood. He endured. He rebuilt not only walls, but meaning. And now comes perhaps the cruelest sorrow of all: time itself. In his later years, Johnny Mathis has faced age-related memory issues, a reality almost unbearably poignant for a man whose life was built on recalling lyrics, melodies, and emotional precision. There is something devastating in imagining the keeper of so many memories confronting the quiet theft of his own. In 2025, as he steps away from live performance after nearly 70 years, the world is not merely saying goodbye to concerts. It is grieving the inevitable hush that comes when even the gentlest legends must finally rest. But what makes Johnny Mathis extraordinary is that even this farewell feels less like disappearance and more like benediction. He's not leaving in scandal. not in bitterness, not in defeat. He's leaving as he lived, softly, gracefully, with dignity shaped by storms survived rather than innocence preserved. His life is not simply a celebrity biography. It is the story of a poor boy who transformed scarcity into beauty, a son who turned his father's sacrifice into song, a dreamer who chose vulnerability over certainty, a legend who taught generations that gentleness is not weakness, romance is not fragility, and survival does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers through a ballad and changes lives forever. Today, Johnny Mathis remains more than the voice of romance. He is the sound of perseverance wrapped in silk. He is the memory of candlelight in hard times. He is proof that pain can become poetry, loneliness can become legacy, and even in a world that often mistakes softness for surrender, tenderness can outlive thunder. And somewhere now, perhaps in the quiet of evening, with age resting gently upon him and memory flickering like distant music, Johnny Mathis still exists as he always has, not merely in records or headlines, but in the trembling hearts of those who once heard his voice when they needed saving most. If his music ever found you in grief, in first love, in heartbreak, in longing, or in the unbearable silence of being human, then you already know the truth. Johnny Mathis did not simply sing songs, he gave sorrow somewhere beautiful to go. And even when his final note has faded from the stage, that gift, that impossible, tender miracle, will keep echoing for generations yet to come. He is still alive. Some artists chase the spotlight. Dave Mason wrote songs that let the spotlight find others. Born on May 10th, 1946 in Worcester, England, he co-founded Traffic in 1967 and helped shape the adventurous sound of late 1960s rock. His composition, Feelin' All Right, became his quiet signature, later carried across generations by countless artists, turning into a classic that lived far beyond its first release. His career never followed a straight line. Mason stepped away from Traffic and returned more than once, choosing independence over certainty. In 1969, he built a solo path that brought tangible success, with 3 gold-certified albums and the platinum record Let It Flow in 1977. His guitar work also appeared on landmark recordings with Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, George Harrison, and Paul McCartney, placing him at the center of defining musical moments. In 2004, his contributions were honored with induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Behind that legacy were quieter challenges. Years of constant movement between bands and solo work tested his stability. And, in his final chapter, health complications from an infection led him to cancel tours and step away after more than 60 years in music. Dave Mason passed away on April 19, 2026, at the age of 79, at his home in Nevada. The exact cause was not publicly disclosed. His legacy is not measured by fame alone, but by melodies that slipped into people's lives and stayed there. For many who lived through the turbulence of the 1960s, Country Joe McDonald was not just a musician, but a voice that carried the questions, anger, and restless energy of an entire generation. Born on January 1st, 1942 in Washington, D.C., he emerged from the California folk scene to become a defining figure of the counterculture. His most iconic moment came at Woodstock in 1969, where he stood before hundreds of thousands and performed "I Feel Like I'm Fixin' to Die" Rag. turning a satirical protest song into a powerful anti-war anthem that echoed far beyond the festival. Yet that defining success came with consequences. The song's bold message led to canceled television appearances, legal fines, and increasing pressure that contributed to the eventual decline of his band. Even so, McDonald continued forward, writing or co-writing hundreds of songs and releasing dozens of albums across a career that spanned more than 5 decades, remaining committed to music as a form of expression and reflection. What made him enduring was not only protest, but perspective. Having served in the Navy, he understood both the realities of war and the voices that opposed it, later supporting efforts that honored veterans and encouraged reconciliation. In his later years, his health declined due to complications of Parkinson's disease. Country Joe McDonald passed away on March 8, 2026, at the age of 84. His legacy lives on in the rare ability to turn music into a moment, and that moment into history. David Thomas never tried to belong to rock music. He challenged it to evolve. Born on June 14, 1953 in Miami and raised in Cleveland, he became the uncompromising voice behind Pere, a band that reshaped the boundaries of sound. Their 1978 debut album, The Modern Dance, remains his defining milestone, widely regarded as a cornerstone of American post-punk. Though never a commercial hit, it became a critical landmark, influencing bands such as Joy Division, Sonic Youth, and Pixies. Over time, Pere released 19 studio albums and more than 40 recordings, building a legacy measured in impact rather than chart success. His path was marked by disruption and resilience. Before Pere, Thomas co-founded Rocket from the Tombs, a proto-punk group whose sudden breakup became an early setback. With Pere, he faced constant lineup changes and limited mainstream recognition, yet refused to compromise his artistic vision. He rejected labels, dismissed trends, and continued creating music that challenged listeners rather than comforted them. Even in his final chapter, Thomas remained dedicated to his work, recording what he knew would be his last album. David Thomas passed away on April 23, 2026, at the age of 71 after a long illness, as confirmed by his band. His passing marked the end of a singular creative force. His legacy does not rest in awards or popularity, but in the artists he inspired and the fearless path he carved, proving that true innovation often begins where acceptance ends.